I think the greatest player is Michael Jordan. That's what I think. But
I agree.
LeBron is about to do something that hasn't been done in a long time, and I think he will move his name up there. But for me, it's always Dr. J and Michael Jordan, Magic and those guys.
Quite frankly, I don't really care about articles. I really don't. I don't care about stories. I don't care about podcasts and all that type of shit. They don't bother me.
The arena quiets for a second, and you can feel the weight of history leaning in, because when LeBron James decides to go off, people stop scrolling and start listening. This week blew up when Shaquille O'Neal made a comment that a lot of folks read as more than a critique. They read it as flat-out hate, or at least a dismissal of what LeBron has done for 2 decades. LeBron didn't tweet a meme or drop a subtle line in a post-game locker room. He answered back hard, public, and pointed, and that response set off a media wildfire. Fans picked sides fast, pundits lined up. The whole thing turned into one of those moments that feels like it could reframe a season, because this is less about a hot take and more about legacy, respect, and who gets to define greatness. Let me lay out the raw event first. Shaq, the man whose shadow still falls across Lakers lore and who half the league still treats like a living legend, made a remark questioning parts of LeBron's dominance, suggesting the modern NBA allows older players to keep playing at elite levels longer than they used to, which, in Shaq's view, can blur the line on what dominance looks like. That critique landed as a swipe at longevity and at how greatness is measured in the modern era. It didn't land as constructive. It landed with that old school edge, loud, blunt, and unapologetic. LeBron, who has been the subject of critique his entire career, heard it and decided not to swallow it. He fired back, not with the quiet humility of a retired legend, but with the full force of a still active all-time scoring leader who has carried teams, shifted narratives, and rewired the NBA's marketing playbook. This exchange wasn't a friendly spar. It was a televised clash that opened old wounds and stoked fresh ones.
Hold on. You said LeBron James the greatest player ever?
Ever.
What about Michael and Kobe? So you just gonna pass Kobe up like that?
I'm gonna pass Kobe up. I'm gonna look at Michael. I'm gonna look at the.
Here's the part nobody is talking about. Shaq's comments are part of a much longer pattern. He hasn't been shy about criticizing modern players, from questioning contract values to mocking playing styles he thinks lack the old-school dominance DNA. Whether he's lambasting a contemporary center for not being physical enough or mockingly telling players they don't deserve their paychecks, Shaq's rhetoric is consistent. The league today isn't as tough as it used to be, and therefore achievements should be measured through the lens of his generation's standards. That cultural stance is what makes LeBron's response so layered. LeBron isn't just defending himself, he's defending an entire evolution of basketball that he helped shape, a game where skill, longevity, and adaptability are as important as sheer force. This is where it gets dangerous for narratives. When elders of the game speak with the authority of legends, their words echo across social platforms and clip channels, and they stick. A single offhand dismissal on the right show becomes a headline that frames a player's season. If enough outlets pick that angle up, that LeBron is less dominant because he doesn't dunk on everyone nightly or because load management exists now, it becomes the lens through which every future performance is judged, and LeBron knows that. He sees how the media cycles spin. He's navigated to smear and praise both, so when he responded, it was strategic and existential. Not just don't disrespect me, but don't try to rewrite what my career means while I'm still writing it.
That Shaquille O'Neal just mentioned, and I mentioned it many times and gave reasons and factual proof that the softer game had that impact on LeBron.
Now let's actually break down what LeBron said and why it matters. He pointed at the selective praise and the moving goalposts, the idea that longevity is a weakness rather than a testament to superior preparation, adaptability, and basketball IQ. He emphasized concrete achievements, not as humble brags, but as evidence. Milestones, historic scoring records, consistent playoff relevance. This is not a vanity play. In 2024, LeBron became the first player to hit the 40,000 point mark, a historic milestone that required durability and elite production across 20-plus seasons. That kind of statistical proof flips the script on soft-era taunts because you can't fabricate 40,000 points or 10 finals appearances. Those numbers exist in the box score and demand context. Here's the part nobody is talking about: the context of the Lakers' organization and roster construction right now. The franchise itself is navigating a complicated transition. New pieces have been added, trade rumors swirl, and the front office is balancing the immediate desire to win with the long-term architecture of a roster built around LeBron's remaining peak years. The optics of Shaq's comments collide with a team strategy that publicly says it still believes in LeBron as a centerpiece.
So you think LeBron's longevity is a byproduct of the change in the physicality of the game too?
Definitely. Less physical. Less feel like right now, you get a flagrant foul, you get fined, suspended. Like, guys ain't even fouling hard no more. Back before I played, it was crazy, but when I played, it was crazy. But even before, like the 80s going to 90s, it was probably more physical then. But people get mad. It's just
if a franchise has to defend its star while he's actively battling for wins, that's a messy PR moment. LeBron's rebuttal wasn't only for Shaq. It was a message to front offices, to the TV panels, and to the league's narrative engines. This is how you measure me. The Lakers, despite the noise, have been projecting optimism about their ascent and their roster pieces, and LeBron's voice carries extra weight when he chooses to speak on the subject. This is where young players usually make mistakes. They react publicly without a plan. They let one hot take steer their next 10 games. But LeBron is not a young player. He's the opposite of impulsive in these moments. He's calculated. There's a reason LeBron has been able to turn criticism into motivation for years. He knows the media cycle, and he knows performance speaks louder than words. In the short term, he uses the noise. He turns salt into fuel. That makes him extremely difficult to beat in a playoff series because perceived slights become a psychological edge. If Shaq hoped a sharp comment would diminish LeBron's aura, he might have handed LeBron exactly the motivation he needed to produce a late-season statement run. Let's escalate. This exchange is inherently generational. Shaq's barometer for greatness is tied to awe-inspiring physicality and the kind of imposing force that demands double teams and fear. LeBron's approach, versatility, longevity, and the blend of scoring and playmaking sit at the intersection of eras. Both perspectives have validity. Shaq's criticism that the game may be softer isn't baseless. The rule changes, the analytics emphasis, and load management culture have altered how we judge dominance. But LeBron's counter is equally valid. Longevity is not a cheat code. It's evidence of a player's ability to evolve, to invest in his body and mind, and to keep producing at high stakes year after year. When legends like Shaq and active titans like LeBron collide, the argument quickly becomes about history. Who gets to define it and on what terms?
When I ask people who's the last guy to beat Michael Jordan in the playoff situation.
That a boy.
Yes, so
that a boy.
I mean, but he's the greatest. But LeBron will pass up Kareem, and I can't wait to hear everybody's opinion.
This is where it gets risky for reconciliation. Shaq and LeBron were once teammates in the sense of overlapping legends and shared NBA mythology, even if not in the same locker room. When contemporaries throw barbs, it's one thing. When legends throw them at current players who are still active and defining themselves, it's another. Public criticism from a Hall of Famer can be construed as an attempt to police the narrative, and that tends to harden lines rather than promote dialogue. The more the disagreement becomes a binary old school versus new school, the less space there is for nuance. The NBA benefits from both perspectives. The content machine benefits from the conflict. We have to talk about legacy because this is the core of the story. LeBron's career has been defined by peaks, reinventions, and an ability to stay relevant through multiple generational shifts. That's precisely what makes him a liege of conversation about GOAT status. When detractors say that his longevity inflates the narrative, they're attempting to recast his longevity as a statistical artifact rather than an achievement. When supporters pointed his records, scoring milestones, finals runs, MVPs, they're saying the cumulative weight of his career is what defines him. Both sides will bring receipts. That's why this back and forth with Shaq is not petty gossip. It's a chapter in the ongoing, centuries-old argument about how we measure greatness.
So I gotta go with LeBron.
See, that's what I was gonna ask. Do people ever call you like an old head? Like you don't respect?
How this could influence locker room dynamics league-wide. Younger players watch these televised spats. They interpret them as templates for handling criticism. If LeBron's reply is seen as a model, respond forcefully, defend your legacy publicly, and younger stars might follow suit. If Shaq's point about respecting the old school becomes the talking point, rookies may temper their public behavior and defer more to veterans. The cultural transmission ripples down the roster charts. The league's internal culture is constantly being rewritten by these moments. Finally, let's close with the debate you can't avoid. Was Shaq's comment a necessary, candid critique born of generational perspective, or was it an unnecessary public put-down that underestimated LeBron's complete body of work? Was LeBron's response a rightful defense of a career that redefined the sport, or an overreaction that fuels division? If LeBron goes on an absolute run through the playoffs, this shade will look silly. If the Lakers stumble, Shaq's critique will read like prophecy. Narrative outcomes always depend on what happens next, and that's the beautiful cruelty of sports drama. So pick a side and bring receipts. If you think Shaq was right, explain how era differences materially alter the measurement of greatness. If you think LeBron was right, point to the milestones, the adaptability, and the historical continuity of his dominance. Because at the end of the day, this is more than a TV moment. It's a pivot point in how we talk about the modern NBA, how we honor legends, and how we let active players define themselves while they still can.